Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Courtney.
And I literally thought of a story while we were recording the last podcast. And I was like, don't say it because then you'll have something to talk about in the next episode. But I don't remember what it was.
Well, have I got a story for you?
Please tell me. Maybe it'll inspire me.
It's not nearly as dramatic as I made it sound.
Okay.
I only vaguely remember what I was supposed to be talking about, but what exciting things is happening coming up in my life. So I work at a bar in Times Square. We've talked about that. So obviously we get people from the theater that come in there frequently. Girl from North Country, that cast, used to come in there all the time. They're on hiatus now until like June. I didn't realize it was that long, but apparently until June. And so I'm bummed. They were all very nice. Well, the people from Come From Away recently started coming into our bar and just offered all of us free tickets to a show next Tuesday or Wednesday. So next Tuesday, I am going to see Come From Away.
Isn't Jen Kalala back in the show?
I have no idea. I am so disconnected from the world right now that I couldn't tell you my name, probably, if you asked. I did tell you my name already, though, so I did well. Yes, I will let you confirm or deny your statement. Because I'm sure she's wonderful.
I don't know. This is a whole interview. No, she returned she came back.
Oh, excellent. Well, it ended up working out really well because I do the lottery every day for tickets, and I won the lottery for Come From Away yesterday for tomorrow, and it's $53 for tickets, and it's the most expensive lottery ticket.
Right.
And you have until 9 p.m. to decide. So I just sat there and I was like, I'm going to make myself make a decision by like 8:30. And at 8 o'clock, our manager sent us an email that said we could go to a show for free next Tuesday or Wednesday, just to text her which one. And I'm so excited. So I didn't have to buy a ticket and I get to go. And
I will not be seeing a show this week because my coworker, Nate, he is like my best friend and we talk theater shop all of the time. I walked into his office today and he goes, Oklahoma is a garbage fire. And I go, did something happen on the news that like I missed? Like, did Oklahoma pass a law that people are upset about? Like, did the state of Oklahoma set on fire? Like, no idea what he's talking about. Because again, no idea. Today was even Wednesday.
Right.
And he didn't even say hello. He just immediately goes, Oklahoma is a garbage fire. And I was like, shit. He saw the national tour of Oklahoma. And it's not good.
Oh, I've never seen Oklahoma.
Well, here's the thing. The Broadway revival of Oklahoma was a very, very specific interpretation of the show. It was site specific. It was
the one a couple years back.
Yeah. And they made a national tour of said production. Only when you're going to national touring houses, you don't have the same vibe. So like you're watching this weird interactive piece, only you're not interacting in it.
That is fair.
And
I don't know about Oklahoma to know, but
also Oklahoma's a dance show, and they took all the dancing out of it.
That's not how you do that.
There's also only 5 women in the entire show, including the dancers.
That's an interesting choice.
He read me the review, and I was like, I am so glad I don't work this week. Because I don't think I could do that.
Not without saying something.
Correct.
Speaking of coworkers, we have the 2 new girls, and one of them, Jess, her birthday is today. So if she ever listens to this at any point in time in the future, happy birthday, Jess. She probably won't. They're all way younger than me. And but Kathy likes to take people out for their birthday. And so tomorrow we are cutting a half day because Kathy also goes on midwinter break next week since her kids are out of school. And we are going to this place called Versa in the city on 35th. I have not been. I do not know about it. But apparently they have an enclosed rooftop, which is interesting. And alcoholic beverages, which I'm a fan of. They have this like, what was it? It was a mango. Oh, it was a mango spritz, like an Aperol spritz, but with mango liqueur instead of Aperol, which is nice. I don't love Aperol. That. So I'm very interested in that. And so we're doing that tomorrow, and I am stoked because I spent all day staring at song files and not killing myself or anyone around me, though I audibly said a lot of things out loud that may or may not have concerned my coworkers, such as, no, I'm not dealing with this now until I have coffee, as I threw a file across the room and just walked out.
You work with other adults. Mm-hmm. So when you say shocking and concerning things, I feel like it's less of a problem than when I do.
So I technically work with adults, but they're young, small adults.
See, but they're not underage.
They're not underage. They lived through their whole 20 to 23 life in pandemic. So they haven't seen the real world as a real adult.
Right. Well, my favorite student, who I have at least one story about every week, today, I don't know what his problem was. He was just being extra dumb. And I kept being like, I'm going to fight you. At one point, he hit my projector with a stool. Granted, not on purpose, and he did apologize when he realized that he like actually messed it up, but he whatever. So at the end of the day, I just go, I don't know how many times in one day I need to tell you that I'm going to fight you. And he said, you can't fight me because I run faster than you. You'll never catch me. And I go, you're not man enough to take a fight. You got to run away from me. He's 14 years old.
Right. Maybe not the thing you say to a 14-year-old child that you're the teacher of.
I did, in fact, tell the principal that I said this to him, and she goes, "You having a good day?" And I said, "Clearly."
Doing well. Doing
great. So when you say shocking and concerning things, people are concerned for you. When I say them, children's welfare comes into question.
Unless they know you, then they know you would never hurt a child.
That's very true. One of my 5th graders today told me, she goes, I don't mind when you tell us to shut up because I get your sense of humor.
I don't think that's how that works.
Well, because I told them, shut up is not a nice thing to say to your friends. And I go, I don't even tell you to shut up. They go, sometimes you do, but it's a joke. And I go,
okay. But do they shut up when you tell them?
Yes, actually.
Well,
one time they wouldn't stop talking, so I sang the entire class to them.
I like it. I am a big fan of that.
Yeah.
You know what else I'm a big fan of?
Hell yeah, with the segue.
We've got 2 in a row. I don't remember what we did last week, so I can't talk about that. But Sunday, Wednesday this week, we're on.
No, last Wednesday you had a good one too.
Oh, we got 3 in a row. We are killing it. Top notch. We're killing it just like Dead Like Me. They're way cool. Way cool.
We're as cool as all of the moms watching the Super Bowl halftime show.
Very true. I definitely felt like a mom watching the Super Bowl halftime show.
I didn't watch it.
We had a song.
I didn't watch it, but it's because I have personal beef with Mary J. Blige as a human.
Oh, I see. Have you come to blows?
I've met her. I've met her multiple times, and she is just not a nice person, and I don't feel like supporting her art.
Okay, fair. She is phenomenal, but I can understand.
Yeah, I used to like her music, and then she was just really rude to me for absolutely no reason. And I was like,
well, Snoop D-O-double-G is my fave human.
do love him.
Love him dearly.
I also love all the memes about how we shouldn't support him because there's pictures of him smoking a joint before the halftime show.
Right,
It's like,
I didn't see those pictures, but he's sober now. So if there was a picture of him smoking, it wasn't real weed. That's still his brand, and he still stands behind it. But he has come out and clearly said he's sober. I don't know. He may drink still, but he doesn't smoke anymore.
interesting.
Fun fact: I am on the level of knowing things about Snoop.
But he does still like clearly promote and support marijuana.
Oh, 100%.
Because like
supporting it.
Have you ever seen any of his Bic commercials?
Yeah, it's still his brand. He just doesn't do it anymore. So, what else? Whatever floats your boat. And Eminem.
Oh yeah,
because I am that age. Apparently,
we've talked about Eminem on this podcast.
That he exists, yes, and I will always talk about Eminem on this podcast. Always, just like this episode is titled.
Oh, that's right.
I'm on it. So this episode came out October 24th of 2004. My mom's birthday.
Oh,
obviously not the one Mom. She was born on.
Right.
Because it's 2004 and I was alive. But October 24th is indeed her birthday. And you could tell that it's getting late because I'm losing my mind. So this is the next to last episode of this show. The entire one. All of it. We have one more after this.
Rude.
Whew. So the rating of this episode was 8.6 out of 10.
Highest.
What was yours? Was it
8.5 was the last time.
So very close, very close. This is the highest, and for a good reason, I thought. The number one song was Goodies. Shocking, I know. And the number one movie was, in our horror genre, The Grudge.
Which also took the prize from Freddy vs. Jason as the highest opening weekend of a horror movie.
Have you seen it?
Absolutely not.
It's not as scary as you think. It's one of the first horror movies I watched before I watched horror movies.
Which is totally fair, but the first horror movie I ever watched, like, as a choice, I watched it as a child on accident. But the first horror movie I ever watched as a choice was The Ring. And I watched it at my friend's 12th birthday party or 13th birthday party when I was 12. So this was only 2 years after that, and it's too close in genre. Mm-hmm. And I was too young. Like I was still traumatized.
Very
and
fair.
Then I just never watched it.
I think that is absolutely fair. I would have been the same way. I did not watch The Ring because I thought I'd be terrified. And then my aunt told me that I would probably like this one. She said it scared her. So at 3 p.m. on a daytime day, I was like, I'm going to watch this movie while people are awake and around me. And it didn't really scare me, but I thought it was enjoyable enough. I've never watched it again. I probably won't just because it's fine, but it's not like super amazing.
I will probably still never watch it. Oh, the other thing was because for some reason I was a weird kid. Yeah, right. But the other thing I remember is I used to just sit there and make noises because, like, that's what you do when you're a weird kid and you don't have a lot of friends. And I used to.
Yeah, that's the one.
I used to do that all the time, not knowing because I'd never seen the movie. And then kids started being like, you should probably not.
You're being a little creepy.
And I was like, well, I don't get it. And then I watched a clip of just that and I go, oh, okay, no. That's freakishly terrifying. I'm good. I'm very good on that.
Yes. Also, nothing happened on this day, except in this time period, they are officially in Scorpio season now. At this point, so,
happens. Unfortunately, once a year.
Score one for the Scorpios.
I always forget that you're a Scorpio.
Because we go so well together with our Scorpio and Aries,
which is
passion and intensity.
I know. I literally told my students that Scorpios were the devil, and one of my students, she's one of my favorites, and she just goes, "That's kind of rude." And I go, "Okay, like everyone except you
and me,
right?" But that's because I always forget you're a Scorpio because it doesn't make sense. Because Scorpios, I am only ever toxically attracted to Scorpios.
That's fair. I do lean more towards a Libra, probably, but I definitely have the the passion of a Scorpio, where once I feel a way about something, I feel that way about it.
I feel like
if I'm mad about it, I'm mad about it.
I feel like I should just really, really, really never date fire or water signs.
Yeah,
because I get myself into trouble all of the time.
I think I should just never date because people suck. And that's that. I'm so sorry if you hear this awful noise in the background.
My dog is it is okay.
Now I water.
I need to find out what Mason's star sign is.
Yes, you look into that, and I will tell you about the background of our show. Absolutely. The director is Sarah Pia Anderson, who also directed The Shallow End, where she pretended to drown and all this stuff.
Oh yeah, that was not a bad episode.
It was not a bad episode. It was fine. The writers are John Massius and Stephen Gottschall, legends, our faves. We talked about them already because John Massius and Stephen Gottschall wrote last Wednesday's episode as well.
Yes.
They're kind of rock stars. We had a few guest stars. Maybe my favorite guest star in the whole series. But first and foremost, Yardley Smith is back as Penny.
Yes.
Have some things to say about her. Some predictions I made were right. But that's because the storyline was inconsistent. That's fine. We have Eve Brenner. Her connection to the show is that she was on Touched by an Angel, and that one time we had a director from Touched by an Angel. That is my connection I've made.
Fantastic.
And last, but certainly not least, we have Gavin Degraw, who was at the height of his career in 2004 because his hit CD, Chariot, had just come out in 2003, as well as being the theme song for One Tree Hill. And my God, my heart almost died when I saw his face.
I don't look at stuff when you're doing the episodes, and a lot of times when I'm not taking notes, I don't pay attention to the names of guest stars or anything. But then literally he started singing, and my dad just goes, "Is that Gavin Degraw?" And I go, "Yeah." And then he actually came on screen, and I was like, "Oh, what a guy!
What a guy!" Are you? Am I
also right? Mason doesn't have a recorded birthday, just a year.
Well, that's kind of disappointing. Who knows? He may not.
He's probably a Scorpio.
I don't know. I think he could be a. What could Mason be? I don't think he's a Scorpio. He doesn't have as much follow through.
Fair.
Does have the passion.
He's definitely a water sign, though.
He's not. He's definitely not an Aries.
No, I think he's a water sign, but I don't think he's a Pisces. So that would mean he'd have to be an Aquarius. Nope, Aquarius is an air sign. I'm totally wrong. Scorpio, Pisces, and
I do not know. Earth, water, air, fire. Except for the 21st night of September.
Okay, fire. Fire is Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Earth is Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus. Air is Aquarius, No, because then the other water sign's a Gemini, and I don't think he's a Gemini.
I could see him being a Gemini, though. Out of the other options,
maybe. He's definitely more like a Gemini than he is a Pisces.
Yeah.
Oh, just kidding. Nope, he is. He is the other water sign. Gemini is an air sign. I'm an idiot. Cancer is the third water sign. He's a Cancer. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yep. Okay.
Good times. So we start this next to last episode, with a monologue about hide and seek, which feels very circular to us watching hide and seek before the season. I just really like to talk about that movie. It actually has no reference here.
No bearing whatsoever.
And the first thing I put was just, yay, Joy's back. Because I love her so much. And I'm so sad she was not in the last episode.
I didn't have any notes about any of this.
Well, that's pretty much what I put. And then I put there was a flashback.
I wrote Rube flashback.
Not that one. I'm not there yet. There was a flashback about George. And she was talking about hide and seek. And she was saying that no matter what, she didn't want to be found ever. And so she always hid to where she couldn't be found. So that's kind of sad. But alas. And then
Rube flashback.
Rube flashback. And I put, oh my God, finally Rube's family. So he's talking with his wife and daughter, and we see him slip a gun in his pocket. And he goes to say something, and then we just hear, gotcha, and we come out of the flashback. And I was like, whoa, like it actually caught me off guard. And while that does not fit in with the like feel of this show, I liked it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I liked it.
I have so much to say that I can't say yet.
Well, you just hold on to that.
No, it's stuff that I can't say tonight at all because it's about stuff that we don't know yet.
Hold on to that for a week and a half then. Stay tight. You got this. Then we go to the diner. Dear Waffle House.
Wait.
And
no, hold on. When we say gotcha, isn't it because they're waking George up because she was asleep at her desk?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, because I have a note about that.
Oh, okay.
Because literally I laughed so hard in that moment when she was asleep at her desk. Oh, just kidding. No, we are at the Waffle House. Ignore me. I'm an idiot. Continue.
Okay. So George is talking about how she doesn't want oatmeal, which is life-changing. And we learned that Mason has slept at the diner. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It is 11 o'clock. That's what that noise means.
Yes.
And he's sleeping in the diner because even though George has said that Mason could stay with them, Daisy has said he cannot. And it seems pretty heartless through most of the episode. Rube tells him, this is what you were talking about. Rube tells him you can't sleep in your office. And then George goes into this whole description about how she slept in her office before and she got the best sleep of her life. And I just put, I'm also with George. I've also slept in my office and had a good sleep.
The funny thing is, yesterday, I'm just sitting there. So I teach all 5 classes straight through in the morning. Teresa has her planning period, 3rd period, so like while I'm teaching. And I'm just sitting there teaching, whatever, and I just get a text that says, oh my God, I don't know what happened, but I just fell asleep at my desk and slept for the entire planning period, like just passed out at my desk. And this happened yesterday, and then I went home and watched this episode where they're talking about sleeping at the office, and I literally just have a note that has her name, because I was just like, I can't.
I love it. I love a good office.
I was like, I wish that I slept at my desk ever, but usually the only times I'm tired at my desk is when there are children in the room and I can't sleep.
Well, I've been tired a lot lately, but during winter, it's still winter, during the holidays, everyone would leave early and I was working 1,000 hours a week. And so I would just take a little 10-minute power nap before I went to the bar. Had lots of power naps, found a good napping chair, brought a blanket to the office so I could have my blanket with my napping chair.
Yep.
Some of the best naps I ever had.
Yep.
Sometimes the most sleep it seemed I got in a day. But it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, we're all okay. We're okay.
It's fine. I'm not at all not sleeping. Next, Penny shows up.
Oh, sorry. I also had a note that Daisy was being super frigid before she left.
Yes, she was.
I don't care for that behavior.
I also don't. Though I understand it a little bit more later, but yes. I agree. But Penny shows up and everyone knows her. Tiffany knows her. Mason knows her. Obviously, George knows her. We watched George meet her. Yeah. But and then
here's the thing. I wrote Penny definitely died on the Titanic.
So I said, I told you she used to be on Rube's team, even though you explained to me she couldn't be because you can't switch departments. Yeah. And you're right. But I was also right.
Because we don't have consistent logic on this show. But she was talking about how she died on a boat. And George was like, oh, like, boating accident. And she was like, a little bit bigger. And I just go, Penny definitely died on the Titanic. And my dad was like, do you know that? Is that for sure? I go, Dad, that was the worst told joke ever. She definitely died on the Titanic.
I also didn't connect that, but I also like half listened to that part. I was just like, oh, she died on a boat, and then kept going. Then I started like writing notes down. And so that was all I got. But they started guessing when Rube died. And here's where I wanted to do some math and forgot every number I've ever known. So they guessed, George guessed that he died in 1927. Do you remember what date was on?
Yes. Now, but here's the thing. This is slightly a spoiler for next week, but it doesn't affect the plot, but I just need to say it because it's math. The birth certificate says that the daughter was born in 1925.
Okay.
But something that happens in the final episode says that she was born in 1922. The actress who plays his daughter in the flashbacks was 6 years old in that episode. Mm-hmm. The song that Rube was singing to her came out in 1925. So the song had to exist already. So there's no way that she was born in 1925.
If he died in 1927.
If he died in 1927. There's also discrepancy because he was Betty's Reaper, who supposedly died in 1926. But that also doesn't actually make sense. It's more likely that that was incorrect and that she probably died in 1927 and was one of his first reaps.
Yes.
So Rube did die in 1927. His daughter's birth certificate that they showed is not correct. She was born in 1922.
Thank you. I knew you would know.
Yes.
That's why I asked.
Yes.
I have been struggling with numbers a lot today. I got an email from one of our co-publishers, and they were like, so when we have a split, it's like we want 50% of this song, which is 70% total, blah, blah, blah. Do a lot of math that I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. And she emailed me back today, and I think she said the thing that I put on the paper already. And so I had to email it to my boss. I was like, Kathy, I was like, am I reading this wrong? Is she reading this wrong? Can you just tell me what these numbers are if this is right? Because I don't know what's happening anymore. I cannot do enough math and percentages and fractions. I'm sorry.
No, that is perfectly fine. I did have to pause it and read some stuff on the Dead Like Me wiki just to make sure that I was not incorrect. And I wasn't. And that's how I read about all the other discrepancies. I again, know more about what happens in the final episode than you do. Right. Because a lot of the things that I remember happening do happen in the final episode. Mm-hmm. So I can't go into any more detail than what I've already said.
Yes. And that is perfectly fine. I just needed to know if the birth certificate date was right. And you nailed it. Yes. A+ gold star.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And so then we go to Joy and Reggie. And as they would have it, she's trying to make Reggie an oatmeal bar because apparently that's what that family eats. Everyone wants oatmeal all the time. And she's trying to make her feel better because she's packing away JD's stuff. And Reggie is not happy about it. And I just put Reggie's in denial about JD's death. And
no, but here's the thing. Yes, she is, and she's sad, and Reggie obviously needs psychiatric help, like, but not in a judgmental way, you've gone through so much trauma at your age that you do way. But it pissed me off so much. My note just says, Joy, just let her fucking have this.
True.
Because then she's talking about the frog, which she has renamed to JF for Just Frog.
Which is my favorite.
And then she's like, and Joy's like, don't put him in the bathtub. Like, George didn't give you this frog. And I was like, just let her fucking have the delusion that her dead sister gave her the frog. Like
who is it hurting?
Exactly. I mean, granted, it's also not a delusion, but like,
right.
Just let her have this moment. Like, if that's how she's going to grieve, let that be how she grieves. Like, she's 12.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I think Joy just doesn't know how to handle it, and she's trying her best.
Try harder.
I mean, yes. Yes. And now we're back at the diner, and Penny orders iced tea without ice. I was like, okay. Well, she says the usual. Tiffany knows what she wants, and it's iced tea without ice. And that was weird. It makes sense because she died on the Titanic.
Yes. Rube goes, are you still on this no ice thing? And she said, you die on the Titanic and then tell me how you feel about ice.
I was like, okay. I would have loved more of Penny throughout like this show. But I love Yardley Smith. She's amazing. And we learn she's meeting Rube there because Rube's daughter is supposed to be reaped by her that day. And I said, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. But then she tells Roxy that that's why she's there.
And Roxy didn't know anything.
Well, here's the thing, though. Roxy didn't know anything. But Roxy's the only person she could have said that to.
1,000%. And she knew that because they used to work together.
Yeah. But, like, if she had said that to Mason would have caused a fucking scene. She would have said that to George. George would have, like, been like, all this time you, like, won't let me see my sister and you're still looking at your daughter, blah, blah, blah. Daisy would not have given two fucking shits about anybody but herself.
Mm-hmm.
But Roxy was like, okay, let's take care of Rube. Like, that's what we do now.
Yep. That's why I think that she's the one who would take over his place. Because she's the only one who can handle it.
Yeah.
And it has to be somebody that can handle these people, too. If she were to take over this group. And then, like it was coming from the heavens, we hear Coach Chariot.
Gavin Degraw
is standing on a street, playing the piano, and singing Oh Chariot, or whatever it's called.
I really want to start singing it right now, but I don't want to be copyright stricken. So
yes. And it took me back to 20 years ago and who I was as a person then. And it was beautiful. And all I've wanted to do since finishing this episode is just like binge Gavin Degraw 2003. Not his new stuff. No one cares about that. The 2003 stuff.
Right. See, the problem was, like, I didn't dislike Gavin Degraw at the time, but I was a much bigger Jason Mraz girl.
I loved them both.
And B, 2003 was, like, the height of me deciding that I liked punk emo stuff more than pop music. So I kind of rebelled against the, like, clean white guy thing that was happening with, like, Jason and Gavin.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's fair. I just took them all in. The pop punk, the pop country, and just got a little bit of all of it mixed totally together. Fair. Here I am.
But also, like, Jason Mraz, like, circa 2003, like, Mr. A to Z. So good.
Yeah. I was more into Jason Mraz come high school.
See, but I don't like his newer stuff. Like his more.
I don't like his newest stuff.
Oh no! But like even like when he like people like started to really like him with like Colby.
Colby Calais and all that.
Yeah.
I didn't care for that song.
Yeah, no, but like
Because-
the wordiness of his Mr. A to Z album, the quick wit wordplay was why I was super into him.
Yeah, I just didn't pick up on him until high school.
Yeah,
but I did. I mean, I still love him. I don't care for his new music, like I said, but I do still love him. So, anyways, we're back with Mason and George, two other people that I love. Well,
yes,
one that I love. You know,
well, but they're robbing.
Not yet. They are making their way downtown.
Walking fast.
Faces pass.
They're not homebound though. Like,
May as well be. Because Mason's trying to get a home.
Mason's homeless. He can't be homebound.
Trying to get a home. And he's talking about he can make boysenberry cobbler. And I was like, first of all, how do you do this? Because you are a garbage human. But also, that sounds amazing.
Again, listen, secret talents.
Just cooking? Is that all he can do? Cooking? Because he doesn't have a lot else he can do. As much as I love him, he doesn't have a lot of talents per se. Yeah. So we learned that Gavin Degraw is going by Pete Anderson. I've seen his CDs on his piano. And Mason says, that could be me. George is like, what? No. And she's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I could do that. And he's like, I should make money that way. And she's like, no, he's cute and he can sing. And Mason just goes, I'm cute. I was like, oh gosh, Mason, you are cute. But
so cute. But if you were standing on a street corner just being cute, I might give you my number. I wouldn't give you money.
No. I mean, to be fair, I probably wouldn't give you either because that sounds very sketchy. But
I've met a lot of sketchy humans in my life.
I believe that. I believe that. I do not question it for a second. And then Mason's talking about something else. And he's like, yeah, you could just be a part of my free, quote unquote, Freemason fund. And George goes, oh, like Freemason. He's like, what? It was another, every time, because they never do it in every episode. So every time they like have this play on words with Mason where he doesn't get something, it's like all concise. Like they had it in the last episode, they had it in this episode.
Absolutely.
And it was like 8 episodes ago.
But I also think, of course, Mason doesn't know what the Freemasons are because he's not American.
Right. But also, like, he's been in America a hot minute.
True. But mostly super fucking coked out.
That's true. Because I was going to say he's probably been in America longer than we have.
Agreed. But he's also been on coke.
Drugs. Yes. Drugs will do that to a person. So
just say no.
Just say no. And I just put, oh gosh, Gavin Degraw is going to die. And then we leave him. And I was like, okay, maybe not.
See, I just wrote Mason, you idiot, because Mason decides to rob Gavin Degraw.
Oh, yes.
Right in front of him. Like, George is trying to flirt with him, and he takes all the money out of the thing, and then, like, out of his guitar case or keyboard case or whatever, and then just, like, walks away. Like, we're not going to fucking know you just did that.
Right. And then he takes off running and apparently gets away with it. And Gavin Degraw doesn't even go after him, which is crazy. But that's fine, I guess.
Like, I feel like he's kind of, like, depressed, but not really depressed.
I think that's fair.
He's like, it's so nice to be outside and not be in the subway anymore, but also you can take all my money. What am I even trying for anymore?
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Then we go back to Happy Time. And we just hear Georgia Lass, and Millie George, like almost like breaks her whole body trying to get out from under a desk where she's like working with wires for some reason. And she's like, what? And she's like freaking out. And Dolores is just like, she disturbed me. She used to like she did this whole thing, and I was just like, oh.
I almost forgot that Dolores doesn't know her name. I
did too.
So confused.
I know. I was a little confused about that part. And then she's asking Millie George to go get George's file. And she's like, only executives can do it. So we just don't talk about it. It's like, okay, sure. So that's pretty much that. Not a whole lot else happened. We go back to, for a brief second, Joy and Reggie is having another meltdown again mentally, where she needs to clearly go to therapy. And she's talking to JF, and Joy's trying to talk to her, and then she's like, your dad's here, and she's like, tell him to go away. And then we leave that scene.
But here's the thing, I loved that scene mostly because of the look on Reggie's face while she was staring at the frog, because I was like, that is also how I feel about frogs.
Yes, fair. Yes, I agree. And we're back at Happy Time. And George is talking about like herself.
Wait,
and like, yes.
Are we back at Happy Time, or do we go downstairs? Because
I think we're back at Happy Time for a second. Yeah, we're back at Happy Time for like a half a second. Just for this one line, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
George is looking at her file, and she's like trying to figure out what she did. And she says, I don't remember exactly what she was talking about. She was like, what did George not do or something? And then she says, it's a better question. What did Georgia Lass ever do? And I was like, oh, that's so sad. She never did anything when she was alive, and she's sad about it. Now I'm sad about it. It's a whole thing. Yeah. So now we go downstairs with Joy and Clancy, and they're talking about Reggie's denial and thinking how she thinks that George left JF for her. And at first Clancy's like, the denial, that's fine. And then he's like, oh, but she shouldn't be thinking her dead sister left her frog. And I'm like, look, what else are you going to think? And also, like, if you didn't think it's her sister, how is it not creepy that someone has now left 2 pets on your front doorstep? Like,
accurate.
You're not concerned about that? Anyways, then Claire shows up.
And I wrote, Claire, you suck.
She wants to hire Joy again for her friends. Her friends are interested in hiring Joy, and she wants to have her wrapping paper reorganized. And Joy's just like, it's not a good time, Claire. Can you come back? And she just keeps going. And Clancy's like, what part of it's not a good time do you not understand? I just put, okay, Clancy, calm down. I was like, I get it, but calm down.
I was like, Team Clancy, you're a horrible lady.
Right. And then when she leaves, he says, try not to kill any more dogs. I was like, Jesus, Clancy, calm down.
I am deceased.
Yeah, I was like, calm down. And I put, if we didn't hate Clancy, which I think that's a solo feel, but I might would feel bad for him. But alas.
Well, because then doesn't he start crying?
Yes.
And he's like, I miss JD, and I miss my daughters, and I miss you, and I miss my life. And he just breaks down, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. So, sucks for him, though. It's his fault. I mean, George is not his fault, but the rest of it is his fault.
Absolutely.
JD's not his fault. But, you know. And we're back at Happy Time. And she starts going, so George is going through all of the personnel files. And she's like, while I'm here, nobody's going to, what are they going to do? Kill me? I'm already dead.
And she's like, I just want to know who else lied.
Right. So we start with Misty. And we see
the actual worst.
The actual worst. And Dolores is like, so do you have any kids? And she's like, no. And she's like, are you married? She's like, single. Or she said, are you single? She says, yeah. And then she goes, and just looks at her. She gives her that look of like, what? Turns out she has 2 children named Jordash, and
I don't remember the other one. I just know they were both.
That's not the name, but it's something like that.
It was something dumb.
Then she said she's still married. She's probably still married in Louisiana, in Kansas, in Topeka, in Kansas. And that was so. It's another thing. Yeah.
You can't be married in 2 different states and get away with it.
No.
I only know because my cousin got married in Louisiana, and then he got divorced, only he didn't actually get divorced. They just don't live together anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still not divorced. And she had moved back here to New York. and is engaged and has 2 children, but they can't get married because she's still married to my cousin.
Yes, that is a fact. You are correct. And I think it's so funny every time Louisiana gets mentioned, and it's because Stephen Gottschall went to Tulane. So I try to keep up with every Louisiana reference. And then
I thought about you when I was drunk bowling on Saturday because I was watching the LSU basketball game while I was bowling.
That's so nice. I never watched those games. Did they win?
I don't know. I was drunk.
Fair. Then we go to Crystal Smith, aka Jane Smith. What? We have multiple names for Crystal now?
Well, because she was in the Special Forces.
Right. In Southeast Asia.
I believe it.
I believe it. And she can speak Spanish, French, Russian, and Swahili.
None of which are useful in Southeast Asia, French a little bit. Yeah. But I too speak Swahili, so I appreciated that. But I very, very, very minimally speak words in Swahili. I couldn't have a conversation. I just know words randomly. Right. And it was funny because one of the other teachers at the school was talking about how I had said something, and she said to the student, she's like, what, do you need Miss Loda to translate it to you into Swahili? And then she just looks at me and goes, you could do that, couldn't you? And I go, yeah, I'm sorry. She was, I gotta find one you can't do.
Nice. I am as we saw last week, learning French, so I'll be on par with Crystal with that soon. Crystal Jane.
No, I started taking Korean lessons because the Swahili, German, French, Spanish, and Thai weren't enough. I needed to also start taking and Japanese. I forgot that. I started taking Japanese lessons when I was 4. So I just also added Korean to that list too.
Good list.
Yeah, I can't communicate. So that means I speak at least 20 words in 8 languages, and I still can't communicate.
It's pretty rough. I stick with the easier languages like French, Spanish, and Italian. Those are my go-tos. One of the guys, so our kitchen staff, they all speak Spanish, and with our runner was talking the other day, and he was like, do you speak Spanish? I said, not well. I was like, I can vaguely understand what you're saying if you talk to me in Spanish, and I can tell you what Spanish words are, but I don't know that I can't have a full conversation with you.
I used to have in my special skills on my acting resume conversational French and Spanish because in my mind I actually did have conversational French and Spanish. The problem is that I mix them up because I learned them about the same time, and they're similar. So sometimes I will mix them up. I remember my first Spanish test in college, everything I got wrong was because I spelled it the French way when it's the same word. That. And so I was at an audition, and the guy who was giving the audition saw that it said that I spoke Spanish on my resume, and he asked me a question in Spanish, and I answered half in Spanish, half in French. And he went and told his friends about it. Then it turned out his friends were also my friends when I met them at the bar the next night. And he was like, oh, you're that girl who lied about speaking Spanish. And I was like, I didn't lie. I just fucked up.
Yeah.
Turns out he is a first generation immigrant from Peru.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, fuck me. I'm still really, really, really good friends with him.
That's excellent. I love it.
And I have taken that off of my resume.
Probably a good choice. Yes. I have never added that to my resume. But here's hoping one day. Here's hoping I never have to use a resume again, first of all.
Oh my God.
I would like to just burn my resume to the ground and hope for the best. I'm going to be a millionaire bookseller one day. Speaking of probably millionaires, Crystal, it's got a lot going on.
Yes.
I did see on the Reddit page that she was Special Forces, and I just didn't keep reading it. So I was like,
Fair.
I don't want to know. I'm kind of glad it wasn't like a huge spoiler. It was just like,
no.
oh, you're not
A random
you
detail.
would have. Yeah. So it was fun. And then George learns that her mom is the reason she got the job. And she's like, I can't even get a job without a note from my mom. And that was so sad.
Yeah.
She like didn't have it together. And we are back with another Rube flashback. And in all caps, I put, where is he going? Because he's talking to his daughter Rose. And he's telling her, he's like, why are you awake? And she's like, I woke up and I'm awake now. And she's like, where are you going? And he's like, I just have to go do something. And she just keeps trying to say, like, what's going on? And he just won't tell her. And then I put never. He's never coming back. And then he sings her.
I know where he's going. I won't see anything. I will just say that Mandy Patinkin can sing to me every day for the rest of my life.
His singing voice, first of all, is excellent. Second of all, does not go with his regular voice. Those are two different people when he talks and sings. And that's fine.
Have you never heard him sing before?
I hadn't.
Oh.
So it caught me off guard.
I'm obsessed with him.
It's literally
good. He was like, sing it to me. I was like, damn, Andy's gonna sing.
He did. And he did an excellent job. And I was like, oh, he's gonna sing.
Well, you should listen to videos from, or watch videos from when he was in Sunday in the Park with George. Okay. Him singing Sondheim is an ecstasy-inducing experience.
That's good to know. I will indeed be doing that. But before I do that, we're back to the diner. And Mason is trying to get Roxy to let him live with her. And she is not having it. So Mason goes off on this whole rant about how it's fascism. I do not think he knows what that word means.
I wrote, just come live with me, Mason.
I feel bad that no one will take him in. I get it. He's kind of a lot. But like, also Daisy and George are kind of a lot, so they should be taking him in. I do understand why Roxy says no. I was not upset with her.
Roxy was like, what is my boyfriend going to think? He's like, I have a boyfriend. She's like, you don't know shit about me. And I was like, that's fair. No one has once asked Roxy her personal business. She wouldn't tell them anyway.
No.
But like,
because he says, I'll sleep in the tub. And she's like, well, I'll tell my boyfriend. And he just looks at her. And it was so funny. And so then he's acting a fool. And so first, he takes the steak off of the table behind him to eat. And he's like, did you just take the steak off the table? And they were talking about something. And he goes, not while children are starving in Boston. And I was like, I don't think that's a phrase. I mean, there are quite possibly children starving in Boston. But I do not think that's what people say. But that's all right, Mason. And then he also takes Tiffany's tip off the table like a moron. And so she kicks him out of their Waffle House. I was like,
Tiffany is done with your bullshit.
I was like, I do feel bad for Mason, but this is his fault.
Right.
This time it's his fault because he did take her money.
Yes.
And you just don't do that. And then Roxy says the saddest line that makes me feel bad for Mason again. She says, enjoy the street, Mason. It's all you've got. And I was like, it is all he has.
Well, no, I mean, that whole speech. So my note about that speech that she gave him was that it was really harsh, but he kind of needed it. She was like, you just fucked up the only place left that you belong.
Yeah.
And I was like, ouch. Ouch.
She's not wrong, but it was heartbreaking. So now go to the pet funeral home. And Joy keeps saying, she's like, I know I remember this place. Turns out she remembers this place because it used to be an ice cream shop. Because that's what you do. You turn ice cream shops into funeral homes for pets.
My note says this was before the economic collapse and there was already no future for ice cream.
Right? Such a sad time. And
okay. So I remembered the story I was going to tell.
Oh, excellent.
But it fits here because it ties in. So my 7th and 8th graders, we are currently working on, in our creative writing class, a 1-act play unit where I'm going to hopefully have a couple that are actually good enough that we're going to do a 1-act festival with the student work. So I was trying to explain to them how to write character plots today. Mm-hmm. And on the board, I wrote, John, 32, father of Adam's family, works in a cereal factory. And then I wrote, Blair, 29, John's wife, ice cream truck driver. And I don't know why, but I was just trying to talk about what we write in play character plots, and my kids got so upset. They were like, they work in a factory as an ice cream truck driver and they have kids. What's gonna become of them? How are they gonna feed their family?
Look, they're not wrong.
And I was like,
due to this family.
I know, but I was like, do you see how passionate you are about John and Blair after literally 8 words? You need to put that much into your characters. And so it was a good teaching experience, but I literally don't know what came over me. But John and Blair Adams and their ice cream truck.
Jesus Christ. Well, soon enough, that ice cream truck is going to be a hearse. So
I also didn't even think until I just said that out loud that I made John's last name Adams. That's the president of the United States.
It's okay. Whenever you first started saying it, I was like, his name is Gomez, not John. So it's fine. Your story was a whole mess. Okay.
Yeah.
I got your point across, which is what's important.
Yes.
So we're at this funeral home and they're discussing how they're gonna put JD away, and Joy, God bless her, is the only thing keeping this family together. Everything she has to, even though this family's a mess, not because of her, she's the one who has to keep it together still. And it's
barely even a family.
It is, but everyone would be dead if it weren't for her, I think, because not one of these people can keep themselves together.
Correct.
And we pop in on Daisy. Ray's still bothering her. God bless. I'm sick of him. Then we go to, yes.
I realized in this moment that Daisy was being an asshole to Mason because of Ray.
Yes. I didn't realize until the next go around, but yes. We go back to Happy Time, and George is reading her file with Dolores, and it's his attitude, insolent. No respect for authority, no ambition, future forecast won't last long. And George is like, isn't that kind of harsh? And it turns out Dolores wanted this file so she could give it to Joy, so she could have something of her daughter. And George is like, is that really how you want to give it? She's like, anything that her daughter could touch. I was like, I don't think that's the way to go though.
No, but I will say George was being quite ridiculous about it.
Yeah. Although she did say, she was like, a little white out. You could change some things around. Dolores says, it's against everything I stand for. And George just goes, not everything you've taught me. And I was like, Dolores, you used to do cocaine and sleep with homeless people. And after you were done with that, you were still sleeping with the janitor. You're kind of a lunatic.
And she literally said in the last episode that she has goodbye parties for everyone who leaves because you're only able to have one first impression and one last impression. So you literally throw these extravagant goodbye parties for people you hate just so that they have a good memory. Why would you not do the same?
Exactly. So now we go to this little like montage scene of Dolores and George working overtime to make her sound nicer. And George just keeps saying she's a genius. She's pretty. She's all this. And Dolores like she's complicated and not a genius. Just like Jesus. And then she tells her the sweetest thing. She says, I know exactly what I'm going to do. And George's still going off on all of her stuff. And she's like, I'm going to base her off you. And George says, yeah, but you should base her off someone impressive. And she's like, George, you are, or she said, Millie, you are impressive. And I was like, oh, she loves you, George. She loves you, George, Millie. Sweethearts. So we're back to diner. And Mason is once again channeling Love Actually. And he's standing outside the window holding up a misspelled sign that says, I'm sorry, because Tiffany will not let him back in because he stole her money and is trying to eat steak off the table behind him. And it doesn't work. So we go back to Daisy, and I just put time to kill Gavin Degraw because she is walking up on his solo set. And we flash over to this guy in the building who's bragging about being a gym rat. And to tie it into your life, it sounds like he may be talking to a sex operator.
I was like, and tying into my life. And then I go, oh, wait, phone sex voice. Yes. Nope, that makes sense.
So he's saying all of these things to her. And I'm just like, I hate this guy. He's such a tool. And he is throwing the ball, and Ray the Graveling is loosening up the windows somehow by just like pushing against them. And he throws the ball, and it just stops on the floor.
Oh, well, hold on. Before the ball thing actually happens, when Daisy walks up on his solo set, Daisy and Gavin Degraw have the cutest conversation that is full of
bless you.
Ooh.
Bless you again.
Thank you. Of Streetcar Named Desire references.
Yes,
and
that was really
I loved it. I was like, I'm obsessed.
Yes, and so the way that Sweet Gavin Degraw dies is that the window panes have fallen out of this 1,000-foot tall building and crashed on top of him while he was playing, and he crashes on top of another guy, and they're kaput. And I was like, how does that even happen?
I just said, well, shit. But also, I hate the gym rat man upstairs for doing this to Sweet Gavin Degraw. Right. But I did really appreciate the moment when the window fell out and he just goes, fuck me. And then he goes, no, not you, to the person he was on the phone with. And
I know. And then I was like, did Sign Guy not get a post-it? And then I said, oh, she missed a reap. Because I didn't realize at the time that it wasn't meant to be a reap.
I did. And I was like, that extra guy died because of Ray.
So then we pop back to Rube and Penny for a brief moment where they are at the nursing home going to find Rosie, and he just says he can't see her and sits on the ground. And I was like, if we've come all this way for him to not see his daughter, do you know how mad I'm going to be? Yes. And then we go to the last house, and they're having a funeral for JD, which is nice. Very reminiscent of George's funeral. And Reggie tells JD to tell George hello and thanks for the frog. She's like, Joy goes, oh, that's really nice. And Reggie just goes, I'm not done. She's like, okay, good. And then she says, I'm sorry I left the gate open. And I was like, oh, my heart, Reggie.
I also said, dear Joanne Clancy, please stop shaming your daughter for her visions of her dad's sister. Thank you.
Right. Let her be. So we learn that Reggie left the gate open. And Clancy does a fairly good job of like consoling her and being like, it's not your fault.
I was actually genuinely impressed with how he handled that.
Yes. And which was important for later. So then we go back to the diner, and Mason has brought Tiffany flowers that are kind of sad looking, but they're flowers nonetheless. So she finally lets him back in, but she says he can't sit down.
Yeah.
And so he's standing there, and she's like, did you steal these flowers? He's like, no, I picked them from the forest.
She
Do you think Mason's ever been in a forest?
She said posies don't grow in the shade.
Yeah. And so I tells her he took them from a yard, but there were millions there, so it's okay. And she goes into this whole thing about tips, like they pull tips, and so if somebody stiffed everyone's stiff, and I was like, I feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
That's how we do at our job, and I get it. I would also have kicked him out.
Well, and then she says that she stays at the Waffle House because it's well lit and it's warm and it's clean and it's safe. And when you steal from people at your own home, they don't feel safe there anymore. And Mason said, I don't feel safe anywhere.
That was my next note, and I just broke my heart. And Tiffany lets him stay and gives him a wad of cash and then says he just can't sleep there. It's like, oh, God bless you, Tiffany. And then we're back to the last house. And Clancy is talking about how he has to apologize to Claire. And he's like, unless you want to. And Joy's like, absolutely not. And I was like, good, because you're doing everything else for this family. You better make them apologize themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he tries to just act like everything's normal. He tries to stay for dinner. And Joy, as she should, kicks him out. She's like, I think it's time for you to go home. And she says to him, the best line she could have said to him, you were a good father today, but it doesn't make you a good husband. And he just says, I know. And I was like, yes, Joy.
Yes.
Yes. And Penny is talking to this old woman who's sitting on a bench. And this woman just says she's waiting for someone. And next up, look, sweet Rube. And she knows exactly who he is. She calls him Papa. And she asks him where he's going. And I broke down. That was how that went. I cried. And then he sings to her, and I put it, I'm just a mess now.
Yep.
One quick note I'd like to make about this. Roughly quick. We have been teased this scene from episode 1 or 2. Had it gone at a normal pace, this scene would have been so devastating because it was sad. I cried. I was upset. But it's been dragged on so long that it was almost like I needed it to happen. And I think if they would have cut it down to like just the last few episodes, even of like when he first realizes the letter never made it till now, I think that would have been long enough to run the storyline.
I kind of agree. But again, because I know things that happen in the finale that you don't know, I'm going to save some of my thoughts for when we do the wrap-up episode next week where we talk about all of season 2, because I agree, but I feel like Rube's storyline and us having the need to know what those missing pieces are the only reason the show even made it 2 seasons.
I think that is probably fair. I think Daisy helped push it along.
Daisy helped push it along. Daisy and Mason season 2 were the best story, but I think if we didn't have that still like that complete need for that question to be answered, it never would have made it as far as it did.
I think that's fair. I think the show should have been written better.
Well, I would have to agree with you on that because it had all of the potential.
Yep. And then we have this quick montage before the end where Dolores is sending the letter to Joy. Joy and Reggie are sitting outside the last house. And then Rose just says, "Are you leaving again, Papa?" And he says, "No, I'm not leaving ever again.
Not going anywhere."
And then we go back to George's house, George and Daisy's house. And she busts in and she's like, "Mason's staying here. It is what it is," basically. And Daisy tells her she's self-absorbed, which is very not true.
No, but this was so funny. She's like, "You are so selfish. It's like you're always talking to yourself." And then George's monologue was like, "Am I?" And I was like, oh my God. You could not have done that more perfect.
Right. And she starts going off on Daisy and she says, "You just think everyone is in love with you." And Daisy goes, "That was really mean." And I was like, "Daisy, you've been a jerk."
Okay, no,
for
she goes
3 episodes.
But better than that, she goes, "That was really mean." And Mason goes, "But not altogether untrue."
Right. And they just kept saying, "Shut up, Mason." Anytime he said anything.
Anytime he said anything, they both were like, "Mason, shut up. You're not a part of this fight."
Right. And so
only Mason's clearly the biggest part of that fight.
Right. He's the whole reason for the fight. And so then Daisy stalks off and she's like, "Fine, you can stay. Don't come to my room." And
doesn't she say that Ray is there?
She says that everyone should be scared.
She says that Ray is there and that he's gonna hurt her and that like we should all be afraid of it. And Mason's like, "I'm not afraid." And she said, "Well, then you're an idiot."
Yeah. And then Mason and George are buddying up on the couch as besties, and he's like, "Do you want to tell ghost stories? And you want hair and nails?" And he's like, I was like, "You're being adorable, first of all." But obviously she doesn't want to do any of those things, but you are being adorable. And he asks,
he says that he can't sleep because he's afraid. And George says, "I'm not afraid of anything."
Yeah. And did you?
No, I don't know what you're about to say because my moment is probably not, it's probably after what you're about to say.
Okay. Mason's just talking about how he's like, "I don't think I'll ever fall asleep again." And then he does, immediately falls asleep. And
that was my note just said me when I say I'm not tired.
Yes, same. And then she's talking about hiding from something you're scared of. She goes to this whole montage about it. And then she says, "If you hide long enough, your fears will come looking for you." And she reaches out and touches Ray, who's trying to attack Mason. And
she just looks and she goes, "I never liked you."
Yeah. And she like touches him like she's taking his soul, and his whole body just like crumples into dust and is gone. And then I said, number one, how did she send his soul away? Can she kill gravelings? Is this a special George power? Or is this a thing all Reapers can do?
I just said, "Okay, Georgia, damn."
Yeah.
But my favorite part was because the whole monologue and beginning and end monologue was about playing hide and seek. So after she takes his soul, or she like kills the graveling, she just looks around and goes, "Ollie, ollie, oxen free." And I was like, that somehow was like super like cold and terror-y with also like super funny. I was like, I don't know how to feel about this moment, but I super appreciate it.
I know. It's like they waited until the end of the show to like hit their high points.
Yes.
Because it was really well done. I really liked this episode. I do have a trivia for you.
Okay.
So when Tiffany was talking about a clean, well-lighted place, that was a reference to a short story from 1933 by Ernest Hemingway, where he talked about a nice, safe, quiet cafe and speaks ill of noisy, grimy bars and bodegas.
Nice. So this song that Rube was singing was obviously Always by Irving Berlin. Mm-hmm. It was published in 1925. So, but while doing research about that, my dad looked at me and he goes, "Is that guy the guy who does the music for every episode or just this one?" When the music producer's name went by on the screen. And I was like, "No, that's every episode," because I've never looked into him, but I've read the name. Because Stuart Copeland is the music producer for the show. fun fact, he's kind of like bananas good at writing music. He's the drummer from The Police.
Oh.
He has written like a shit ton of TV music and movie music, and he writes operas, including one he wrote about that is an opera retelling of The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. And he wrote one, oh my gosh, I have to pull this up because I was just reading it yesterday. He wrote one that just came out in Germany last year. That I was like, why can I not go to Germany right this second?
Right today, right now.
Right. I don't think it's still there. It premiered in September of 2021.
Yeah.
But he wrote an opera. Oh, yeah. He wrote an opera called Electric Saint. That is a German opera that tells the story of Nikola Tesla. Right?
Wild. Do you know a lot about Nikola Tesla?
I live in Niagara Falls. We grow up like learning about Nikola Tesla like he's Jesus.
Well, he kind of is. He is wild.
Yeah.
Also, there's Nikola Tesla bar here in the city that we may have to go to.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed. I'm literally one of my friends posted something on Facebook a few years ago that I've never related to more when it was like, you're from Niagara Falls when, and it was a guy at a bar was like, yeah, I didn't know anything about Tesla, talking about like the electric like heavy metal band.
Yeah.
And the heavy metal band, and she just went into like a diatribe about Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison stealing his ideas. And he goes, yeah.
I am not from Niagara Falls, and that is also my reaction.
We have a statue of him here.
I gotta come visit you.
Oh my God, I'm
really for just the Tesla stuff.
I'm like
we're gonna go to the bar next weekend.
I'm a Nikola Tesla fangirl. And so when I found out that Stuart Copeland, aka the drummer from the Police, who wrote all of the Dead Like Me incidental music, also wrote a German opera about Nikola Tesla, I was like, I'm fucking in. I'm
that
in
100%. That's wild. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm taking you to the bar. I can't wait. It's amazing. There's birds on the ceiling. It's amazing.
God, I love birds.
Well, so did he.
Okay, I don't love birds the way
There was one user review listed. It was 10 out of 10. It was just titled, Unusually Poignant Showcase for Mandy Patinkin. I was like, that's so precious. It also, like, one of the comments was about how precious Yardley Smith was in this, just as she is as Lisa. And I was like, that's true. She's adorable.
I feel like she was more adorable in this than she is as Lisa, though.
Absolutely. Of course. She's kind of a intense human as Lisa. So, who do you want to punch in the face?
This is hard this time.
I know. People don't suck as much as they usually do.
I know. I think I'm going to have to go with Clancy. Like, he redeemed himself more than he usually does, but, like, he was still not my favorite.
I'm going to go with Ricky.
That's fair.
He was more in it and actually calls things. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, it's okay. I also want to punch Clancy just for crying because I don't like men crying. Well, I mean, I do like men crying when they cry like Mason cries, not when they cry like Clancy cries.
Like when they've done it to themselves type thing.
Right. Like he's like, I miss you and I miss this and you had choices and you
when they cry to get something more than just crying because they feel something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
So that's why I want to punch Clancy. I do fully support you punching Ray. I just still don't know how I feel about punching Gravelings, if that's acceptable.
Apparently they die.
Yeah, well, they also apparently sort of have souls. I'm still confused.
That's another plot question I have. Brian Fuller, if you are in the mood, I'd like a call.
You are in the mood.
Call with you. Who's your MVP?
Tiffany. And there's no hesitation because during the episode I wrote a note and was like, Tiffany is my MVP, just to be clear.
She was really good. I picked Joy because I love her.
You do love Joy. You
I
love
do
Joy
love Joy.
more than most people
I
love
know.
anyone.
I know. God bless her. So that's that.
Do you have any predictions for the
Oh my gosh.
episode?
Oh, we have one episode left.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. We're gonna know more about Rube. We're never getting the Roxy storyline I want.
Never.
George is not gonna get wrapped up like I want. Nothing's gonna happen with Joy and Clancy and Reggie. We're gonna get something with Daisy and Mason. I don't know what. I'm hoping she finally gives into her feelings.
Well, we did see her put on the ring he gave her last
Right.
episode and then take it right back off.
But like, no one else knows that. So I want her to like tell him she cares.
Yeah.
I'd like to figure out why the grave laying thing happened like it did. I don't think they're going to tell us, but I'd like to know.
I will refrain from making predictions just because there are two big storyline things that I already know for sure.
Fair.
So.
Yeah, so we have, at this point, we have one episode left. We have this season wrap up and the DNA Awards.
And the movie.
And the movie.
Yes.
I always forgot about the movie.
Yeah, so we have next week will be the finale and the wrap up. Then we will have the movie and the DNA Awards, and then we will be on to season 4 of Death and Aliens.
When this comes out, probably at the time that you receive this, I will have posted a poll for, I'm trying to do it on Wednesdays. So I will have posted a poll for your horror pick. And then we will be down to our 2 shows we're going to pick from. And then I believe we're going to announce it while we're together.
Yes, which will be in like 4 days from this.
2 days from when you see this.
No, if we're not announcing it till Sunday, right?
Oh, I just meant when we would be together.
Oh, we will be together in 2 days, but like if this comes out on Wednesday and we don't go live until like Saturday or Sunday, so it'll be a little bit, but yes. Yes.
I am stoked. I don't know. I'm just really excited. I'm excited about figuring out how Death and Aliens ends. Never. It doesn't. How Dead Like Me ends. And see what this movie's about. I'm skeptical about the movie, but
I am also.
You haven't seen the movie, right?
I have not seen the movie. I obviously am sad that Mandy Patinkin's not in it, right. But I'm excited because I do absolutely love what's his fucking name that I never remember his name because I just call him by his character names all the time. Desmond / that's not his real name. And I'm excited to see what he does because I feel like his character in this is probably very similar to his character in MacGyver, and I approve. Okay. Yeah.
I could see it. I could not. I have not seen any of these things. I do not know who this guy is. I am just commenting. Yep. But I'm skeptical of the movie. I don't know if I'm going to like it. We'll see what happens next week. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully good things, because there's a movie I feel like it's not good enough. And then the movie is also probably going to disappoint. So glad we had a good few episode run. Looking forward to season 4 though. And the DNA Awards. I'm always a fan of the DNA Awards. They're
absolutely. Well, with that, you can follow us on all of the social medias at Death and Aliens. Make sure to keep your eyes on them this weekend because I don't know exactly yet which or where or how many social medias we will be live on because we don't know what we're doing.
We do not understand live, but we would like to be a part of it.
And then you can follow me personally at ENKAY_superstar.
And you can follow me at CECloud13.
And we will see you this weekend.
Bye.
Bye.